Okay, hello everyone. As we're playing catch up again from being out of town last weekend, so gotta catch up with the box office smash hit. Axel, I guess is when we talked about the trailer for this movie, I kept pronouncing it AXL,
Yeah, that's
which
how.
which
Yeah.
is how you spell it. So I guess I was part right. You were really looking forward to
No,
this
I was
movie.
not.
Yes, you were. Oh,
No.
yes, you were.
No, I was
You were
not.
excited to go see this movie.
Don't
You
make me look bad. No, I
I'm not.
didn't.
I'm not. Yeah, maybe I loved this movie.
No, I wasn't really looking
You
forward to
were.
it.
You were excited. You were going. We
No,
were going to the theater. Like there it is. I want to see the robot dog movie. I'm so excited.
no, I didn't.
Yes, you
You're
did.
exaggerating. No, I said like
You
I
were
don't
wearing
know.
a T-shirt of
Oh
the
my
movie
god.
and an AXL
No.
hat.
No, I was wearing this.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was like, I don't know. I'll watch it because I'm a huge dog lover,
Yeah,
and any dog movie, I'm usually like,
but
I would like it. Like
you weren't there for show dogs or dog
Okay,
or dog
different.
days.
It's not like a man and like a boy and his dog kind of movie. Like I like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's objectively like always gonna be good. I
Sure.
just like watching dogs because. First of all, I have a dog named Lucy, and she's
Yeah.
back in Virginia where I used to live with my
Yeah.
parents because I didn't really want to take her away from her environment that she grew up in, and also it's just a whole thing. So like it makes me like
No, yeah, totally.
yeah, like it's just like if you left Lloyd or something,
Yeah.
like you would watch any cat movie, even if it was a
Mhm.
Robo
Just
Cat.
that darn cat on repeat. Robot cat? Yeah, I'll have a battle cat poster
Even if it
on
was
the wall.
even if it was like a bad cat
Sure.
movie, like you'd be like, oh, I kind of want to watch it. And I'm a huge dog lover, so I wasn't looking forward to it.
You were looking forward to the prospect of there not being anyone in the audience.
I know because we got there and I was like, oh, I hope no one's there. And like,
And we-
and then we saw like a couple of people. Like,
Well,
"Oh,
you
Garrett."
got in there before I did. I was like, I don't know, like we may be the only ones in there. I think this debuted at like number 10 or 9 on the box office over the weekend. Made a couple of $1 million, and you went and it was showing in this tiny theater in there too. So you go walking in there, and I just saw the look of disappointment in your face.
Well, I wanted to be able like to talk about it like while we're watching it without annoying anyone. So.
Yeah. So we could be the only ones in the theater and talk.
What do you mean by this? Oh, okay. Sorry.
You
Took me-
made out during Axel? You got to see it, Jerry.
We just saw that episode last night. This
So,
much.
if you don't know this movie, this is the movie that I got a trailer for it several times. It definitely showed in front of Alpha and Dog Days and Show Dogs. It's been a lot of dog movies this year. One of
'Cause-
them's good.
Which one's better, this or Alpha?
Alpha was a really good movie.
Right?
Alpha was a really
And
good
I
movie.
told you, I was like, I don't know, I could see it being pretty good. It looks fine. And you're like, no, this looks like...
Even you got to admit that movie was way better than the trailers made it look.
I thought it looked fine.
that movie's-
And
I
just
don't
the,
mean-
The reason I was thinking maybe it wouldn't be was because it was pushed back so many times. That was the
Yeah,
only reason why.
but the movie was also, regardless of thinking it looked any good from the trailer, with Alpha, that movie was way more grand than that trailer made it look.
Yeah, it was like
with-
National Geographic if you're like on a movie.
It's actually a pretty epic movie.
Yeah.
And this movie is the one about the kid who's a teenager, I guess. I don't know, maybe.
I think
or
so.
or wait, I think no, he's going into college, but he does motorcycle stunt work on races and things like that, and then he ends up finding a robot dog that was assembled as a weapon by this company. The robot dog escapes, and they both find each other. And you've seen this kind of movie before. You've seen this kind of movie done before many times. Basically, what you're getting out of this movie is, like, yeah, okay, the easy comparisons are in there, like Short Circuit, of course.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's like monster trucks.
Yeah, a more accurate comparison of this movie is in tone, how the movie looks, sort of, even the trailer is way more akin to something like Monster Trucks. If you combine Monster Trucks with wanting to make like a kids movie version of Man's Best Friend, you should see that movie if you want to see a dog movie.
Is it sad? Sad?
It's
I don't
pretty
like
funny.
it when I don't like it when dogs die in a movie. It makes me sad.
It's like a sci-fi horror movie from the 90s where they build the dog as a weapon, and
Silly.
it kind of like in Short Circuit, it escapes and it makes friends with Ali Sheedy. That happens in both movies. This film, there's, you know, when the movie was over, because we got out of this movie a few hours ago. When the movie was over, I was honestly like, well, I guess it was better than Monster Trucks. And there are things about this movie that I do like better than Monster Trucks. The movie I didn't think was terribly made. I thought that I liked a lot of the motorcycle stunt work in the movie. I thought the action sequences were filmed well. A lot of the stunt work in it I was impressed with. I mean, it's not any different really than if you were just watching YouTube videos of something like this.
Yeah, because a lot of it is POV.
Yeah, and like combining the movie footage with the GoPro and things like that, like some of the stunt work in it I liked. Tom Jane is really good in the movie. Tom Jane plays the kid's dad. He shows
Tom
up.
Jane, is that the guy from Arrested Development? Thomas Jane?
From The Punisher. Was he in Arrested Development?
Am I thinking of the right guy?
No, you're thinking of Jeffrey Tambor, honey. He was the better Punisher. No, Thomas Jane.
Yeah,
what
I think he's in Arrested Development.
Is he? Oh, okay.
I think.
I don't know.
Isn't he like the guy that's like kind of a celebrity and like Portia de Rossi?
Oh, yeah, yes,
That's
yeah,
him?
okay, yeah.
He plays the dad in that.
He was the
right?
dad,
Okay.
and he was the dad in this,
He
and
didn't look like.
and he's good in this. He's way better than this movie deserves. Some of the action sequences I did like in this movie. I liked it when the movie comes like close to being like sort of like a Short Circuit 2 revenge movie.
I was thinking
at
that
one
too.
point.
I was thinking about Short Circuit when I was watching this.
I mean, it's hard not to think about that when you're watching this, but I mean, I was thinking more so along the lines of something like Monster Trucks when I was watching this film.
Yeah.
But like when it comes close to being like a revenge movie like Short Circuit 2, there's like one part where it kind of straight up turns into a horror movie. Like if you like when the bullies like fuck up the dog and then the dog chases him at the party.
Yeah,
I'm like,
when he like hid underneath the truck.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I'm expecting something to pop up.
and then
here.
the kid shows up and stops him from killing the bully. I'm like, man, I wish this was an 80s movie. That dog would have fucked
It does
that
turn
kid
into
up.
like a revenge movie.
Briefly, it does, where
Yeah.
it's where the dog is stalking him at a gas station. Like this is almost becoming Christine. And the musical score I like. You can tell when they made this movie.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
It
I
reminded me a little bit of Stranger Things.
because it's trying to. Well, I mean, like with Stranger Things, it's trying to put in this soundtrack and feel that is sort of like from the 80s. Like it's got kind of this Tangerine Dream soundtrack to it, and I liked that. Like it's certainly the soundtrack captures the feel of that this movie is trying to make. You can tell they're trying to make, even how the movie looks. Like there's a lot of like magic hour shots in this movie. Like they're almost shooting it like a Tony Scott movie from 25, 30 years ago. So like I was appreciating that. I could tell like, all right, they're really trying to make like a way early 90s movie here with this. It looks like one, it feels like one. It's got a soundtrack of one. I mean, the movie looks early 90s, but the soundtrack's very kind of 80s.
Yeah, I admire that.
I admired that about the movie. I did.
Was the dog like? I think a lot of the money went into the dog, obviously. But was a lot of it like practical effects?
There were some shots where it kind of looked like it.
I think it was.
And then there were some shots where obviously that's not the case. And the CG more or less I thought was like fine. Like, you know, it was serviceable. It was serviceable for this movie.
Well, they have to use CG, but I'm kind of happy. Like, unlike Monster Trucks, I'm kind of happy. Like, they did use practical effects in this.
Sure,
And,
yeah,
like,
there was
they
some
didn't
work like
have
that
to.
in the film.
Like, a lot of
Yeah.
movies don't do that now, even like good ones. And they actually do use a lot of practical effects. From what I could tell, it looked like practical effects.
Yeah, some shots you genuinely really couldn't tell. Some shots, yes, certainly.
Like when
you
it's
can,
running,
but like,
obviously.
yeah,
But,
of course. There's some silly shit about this movie, man.
there
Like, I mean,
is.
you expect that out of this film, but okay, so the dog Axel, I mean, it's a likable machine, really. Like,
Yeah, it's a cute dog. Like,
yeah. So it's made as a weapon, and at the beginning of the film, they're talking about war dogs and how dogs,
the
are-
animal that is most loyal or something.
Yeah.
And then they show like the evolution of dogs. They show like
Right.
like a caveman, and then they
it
show
shows
like
a still, yeah, like
yeah.
a still shot from Alpha.
Yeah, it just shows like the evolution of man's best friend, basically.
And when the kid and the dog find each other, it's when the dog chases after him, gets injured. The kid nurses him back to life. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm watching Alpha AD. Like this is the natural progression of the plot line of Alpha, clearly. Anyway, the company the government they make this dog, this robot dog, to then exist in the battlefield to like replace dogs in the battlefield, I guess, or to do the job that they do.
Right.
Like war dogs and all of those. And why I'm watching it laughing, going like, why did they have to make it exactly like a dog? Like, I understand, like, to do the job that the dog is doing when you're in like wartime on the battlefields and things like that. It's like, okay, I sort of understand the thought process here. And then they also make it to where the dog
Like
can
the
also
design.
like play fetch and bark and
doesn't
like
play
howl at the
fetch,
moon.
does he?
Yeah, he does, like later on when the
I
kid
guess-
throws the
yeah.
and like he's chewing on like a pipe later on like it's a bone.
Oh,
There's other
right.
things that happen in the movie too, like I understand like thinking too hard about a movie
Yeah,
like
you're
this.
thinking a little too hard about it.
Certainly, but that's not why I'm sitting here going like, oh, the movie sucks because of that. Like I wasn't sitting there going like whatever. But at the same, it is kind of funny that
It
they
is
still
funny,
design the
yeah.
dog to do all this dog stuff to the point like later on in the movie, and this is a scene that I honestly like. Later on in the movie where the kid is slow dancing with his love interest and it's playing and the dog cues up Dancing in the Moonlight, which is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So like, okay, like it's playing Dancing in the Moonlight, that's cool. And then the dog
Like a disco
lights out of
kinda
his head
thing.
like disco, and I'm going like, why is he built to do this? Like, all right, I understand it's a cheesy movie, but
Well,
I'm
they
like,
said,
that's
like-
funny. Like, why is, like,
They said like it was like evolving a little bit is what they
They
said.
do,
Like they kind of at first it's kind of built like more like a machine, and now it's kind of like has its artificial intelligence is starting to like evolve a little bit to be more like a dog, I guess, and more
yeah,
capable of doing things.
capable of playing King Harvest and throwing
Yeah,
a
well,
disco ball out of
it's
it.
it's capable of playing
Just like a real dog.
it's capable of doing things like with emotions, like it can emote a little bit more and like things like, I think that's how they explain it, but
I don't know.
I'm not
Every
gonna-
dog I've met's more of a Looking Glass fan.
you can't think too hard about this movie.
No,
but,
certainly not. I mean, right down to the psycho who makes the dog, who's constantly watching its every move on the screen,
know, they're-
where the dog is like attacking people. Like, I don't know. Maybe first of all, I love that it's only 2 people in charge of this
I
damn
know.
thing. This military dog that could fucking take down helicopters if it wanted to. There's 2 people fucking monitoring this shit. One of them's a psycho ass who's sitting there looking at the POV of everything the dog is doing, right down to it attacking people. And the guy's like, one dude is like, hey, maybe we should send in some people to stop this thing. And the other guy's like, and the guy who's the bad guy is
wait,
like,
wait.
I don't know, let's watch this play out.
like let's see what happens. And he's like, because the dog is evolving and it's like his like masterpiece, like, you know, thing.
It's his masterpiece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's kind of like this mad scientist kind of thing, but with
Mhm.
like a machine that he created, and
Mhm.
trying to see where this goes and how much he is able to like let this thing grow. And he's created this thing, but he's like, I guess there's only one person that can have like control over it.
Sure.
Like with like a dog tag type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the dog only responds to this boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I guess he's just kind of curious where it goes from
I'm curious
there.
where it goes. I mean, this dog is built weird because when this dog pounces on people, I'm like, this should kill whatever person that this dog is jumping on and throwing to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, between that and then later on, where the bullies, like, just set the dog on fire with the flamethrower. I'm like, is this dog, like, really? This fucked up this dog? I don't know if this dog could last very long on the battlefield.
Well, he was commanded by his own, like the owner to not harm.
No, that's
him
not what I'm
ever.
talking about. I'm talking about the way that this dog moves and kind of reacts throughout it. Looking at it, I would assume a flamethrower probably wouldn't hurt this dog very much, but it
Yeah,
fucks that dog up.
He did pour gasoline or something on it.
Even with that,
I don't
like,
know. Like,
so,
yeah, I guess it's more. It's better than like a real dog, I guess.
well, sure, but like,
It's not very
it took
useful.
more than fire to destroy the Terminator.
Speaking of the bully.
Oh, that kid.
Oh my god, that kid was just like a two-dimensional, just like straight up like
So,
sociopath.
everyone in this movie is just two-dimensional. From the bully kid, who's the competing motorcyclist, who we're introduced to at this party that the kid's having. This insane-ass party that looks like a deleted scene from the remake of Point Break, where people are just in there fighting over giant sandwiches and, like, scarfing down pizza, like, right
They
out of
know how
this
to
giant
party,
box.
though. I
Like,
would
they
go.
haven't, like, eaten in fucking days and shit. And then the kid busts out a flamethrower like he's playing with it. One kid drives across him with a motorcycle.
Oh.
The kid shoots at him with the flamethrower off camera. So for all I know, this kid set this other kid on a motorcycle just on fucking fire. And then they fuck up the kid, the main character, when they're like, hey man, we're gonna take you out riding with us. And then pranksters, they fill his gas tank with energy drink.
Yeah, and then so the kid, like, when they fill up the gas tank with energy drink, he flies off and, like, you know, hurts himself. And then they're recording it the entire time, and and they're like, hey, shouldn't we just, like, at least stay here to make sure he's okay? He's like, he just puts down like a gallon of gasoline. He's like, he'll be fine.
Gasoline in a duffel bag.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy could have a concussion, or
The
like,
kid's out there for days.
I know, and he's out there for days, and he's like sleeping out in this junkyard or something for days without water or food.
Maybe that's what was in the duffel bag.
I doubt it. We don't see him. He just takes out all of his clothes. There's no water in there.
Yeah,
And
well.
I was like, okay, I guess this kid's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the bully kid's just like a straight up sociopath.
This kid, his dad's, I think it's Ted McGinley plays his dad in the movie. I'm like, well, like, this is a step up from most everything else I've recently seen Ted McGinley in. I'm like, I'm not used to seeing Ted McGinley on the big screen without the PureFlix logo in front of it. And so, yeah, they kind of do that Short Circuit scene later on. In Short Circuit, where Ali Sheedy's asshole, like, boyfriend shows up, and then number 5, like, zaps, like, the guy's belt off of him and fucks him up. They sort of do that, where the bully shows up to the love interest and is, like, grabbing her by the arm. And then main dude, Miles, like, sicks the dog on him, and the dog, like, kind of fucks his kid up a little bit. And then the girl gets mad at him, going like, why'd you do that? Get the dog off of him. And I'm like, no, that bully deserved that shit.
Yeah, I was thinking
Like,
the same thing.
Thank you. Yeah, she's like, I could have handled this situation, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what? No. This kid showed up, is like grabbing you by the arm. He tried killing the kid earlier. He shot a flamethrower at another
Yeah, that
kid
kid
earlier in the
deserves
movie.
it.
Like, nah, that kid's fucking lucky he got away like he did. Like,
Yeah.
that dog deserved to fuck that kid up. And then this stupid
I mean, not
fucking
kill
bully.
him, but,
So this fucking bully, like, this giant robot dog pounces on this kid, is like dragging him through the dirt and things like that. And this fucking two-dimensional dipshit, what does he fucking do after this? Is like, oh no, I'm gonna go back and fuck with that dog. Like, really, dude? Fuck off. That kid is lucky he just got fucking pounced on. Again, if this were an 80s movie, that dog would have ripped that kid in half.
Yeah.
Which he should have by the end of this fucking movie.
Oh, it was a PG. So.
It's probably a PG-13.
Is it? Because I remember
Probably.
you were carded, because I thought at first it was like, is this an R? I was like, that's shocking.
It's because I use my A-list. I used my
Yeah.
A-list on one ticket. I used Movie Pass on the other ticket, which just got me a whopping $2 off. Thanks.
No, let's just cling on to that until it's...
I looked at that, I was like, really? -$2? I'm like, that's more insulting than if it just said no screenings available today. Like, alright, fine. That's not what it said when I fucking updated it, when it said you get 3 movies a month and it'll take $5 off, $5 or $6 off your ticket. Like, no, motherfucker, you deserve to pay a little bit for AXL, or Axel.
The acting was pretty bad too. I thought the
Okay,
girl.
yeah.
You said the guy was worse. I thought the girl was way worse.
I thought the guy was so much worse than her. Like, that is honestly one... Like, if they had a solid lead behind this film, I honestly would have left and been like, you know what? That was adequate. And really, it kind of is just adequate. Like, it's not really bad. It's just sort of forgettable, honestly. This is something you could probably pop up on Netflix and be fine with it.
It's not as bad as what people are saying, I don't think. I thought it was fine.
It's just
like,
more so just forgettable, and it is what it is.
It's uneventful.
It's very uneventful, but there's
Nothing
things
happens,
about
really.
it that I liked. A movie like Monster Trucks is... I left this movie going like, well, I guess it was better than Monster Trucks. But now, having been a few hours later, I'm like, you know, Monster Trucks... Yeah, there's things that this movie does better, but Monster Trucks is more memorable than this film. And also, the main guy was better in Monster Trucks than the kid in this, who was like, they just tried recreating Christian Slater with just a block of wood. Like, this kid couldn't emote to save his fucking life.
Yeah, I a little bit disagree with that. I thought he was...
Really?
I didn't think he was good, but I thought the girl was way worse.
The girl could at least emote. The girl at least had different emotions through the movie.
Her voice was very grating to me. She was very grating, and like things would happen like when she discovers the dog, and she was just like nothing happened. She was just kind of annoying.
The guy did it to me way more than her, because her, like, despite how good or bad she's doing the emotions, at least she has them. At least when she's angry, she has an angry tone of voice. At least when she's sad, she's talking... She has changes in how she's talking. Whereas him, he has the same delivery, same tone of voice, same flat, monotone everything through this film.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he was good. I just think the girl was worse.
When there's an explosion that happens at the end, which should be a moment where this main character should really have some emotion to how he's reacting, he's acting like he turns around and looks at this and just turns into a pillar of salt. Like, it is blank. It is flat. It's emotionless. The girl was at least... I wasn't thinking anything of her when I was watching this. With her, I was like, okay, she has ranges in the movie at least.
What did you think of the ending? Like,
confusing.
I was confused as fuck. Because I don't really understand what they were talking about at the end. But I was kind of sad that the dog...
Well, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. Okay, you guys really are missing out. Like, I mean, if you really don't want to know the ending, like, turn it off now, but...
They do, like, okay, well, the dog has a self-destruct mechanism, and that comes into play at the end of the movie, and the dog does self-destruct to save the kid and whatever. But after that, there's some talk and technical jargon that has to do with the dog might be reassembling himself, or the dog might still be there in some capacity.
I think it's AI is still... Like, because they have, like, an app or something, like,
yeah,
where they can, like, he puts his finger on, like, the dog tag that recognizes his thumbprint.
It's hooked into his motorcycle helmet, too, and it's hooked into his phone.
Yeah, I know. I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But I guess, like, they have, like, not an app, but somehow, like, the AI is in his phone and in his helmet, which I don't understand that, but I guess his intelligence still lives on, but I don't know how, like, he's not able to, like, put his body back together. So the dog is gone, basically. And I was kind of sad about that. I was like, I kind of wish the dog came back.
No, like, honestly, this movie it felt like it wanted to have it both ways. It felt like it wanted to have a sad ending where the dog dies, but wanted to leave some kind of glimmer of hope that the dog could come back. And it's like, okay, man, just like pick one or the
Pick
other.
one.
Like it's sort of hinting that this dog might be like, I don't know, is it T-1000ing itself? Like I don't know. Like it's like it didn't want to go all out and just have a sad ending. I would
It
have
is a kid's
I would
movie,
have
so.
I would have respected it more so if it actually just went and did the sad ending.
I don't know. I don't like it when dogs die, even if it's a robo dog.
Sure, but the movie felt like it was still wanting to have it both ways at the end of it.
I mean, I like it more that. I understand why you would say that, but for me, I hate it when dogs die. So like, to have it when it looked back at the guy before it self-destructed, and he's like
Yeah.
looking at him, and you could see him like looking at his owner, and you see him like just explode. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people probably like wouldn't think that's sad. I do because
Uh-huh.
I'm just such a dog lover.
Sure, yeah.
And-
No, I don't like it when dogs or any animal dies in movies
Oh,
either.
I know you don't
But this movie, like,
like it. But
I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess just be glad this movie wasn't made in like the late '80s, because that dog would have gotten fucked up. Like
that thing
Short
would've
Circuit 2.
Oh
that
my
there would have
God.
been blood just flying
That
from that
movie used to
fucking dog.
That movie used to freak me out.
It still does. Like
Yeah.
that's just. I love Short Circuit 2, by the way. I honestly love Short Circuit 2 more than I do the first one. Short Circuit 2 is great. That turns into a hardcore revenge movie in the last act of that film.
He's like, what did Doug say? He was like, oh, he might say something cute on the wall or something.
Dying! Then he just writes on the
Like in
wall
an
with
oil
chalk.
or
This
like-
movie doesn't
like
go
his
the-
own blood, I think. Like
No, he's
oil or
no.
something.
Well, there's his battery fluid is bleeding on the ground, and that's how Michael McKean finds him. But no, he draws on the wall with like chalk. And this movie doesn't go the full Short Circuit 2, though I've rarely seen a movie go the full Short Circuit 2, unless it just straight up is a Death Wish movie.
I don't know. I wish the dog did come back, but they do buy a husky at the end with blue eyes. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the dog does have blue eyes. So,
Right, yeah, so so you probably, yeah, it's true, it kind of does the Turner and Hooch movie a little bit. Does the Turner and Hooch movie,
I never saw
only
that
if,
one. Don't ruin it.
oh, well, you won't like it.
Oh, does the dog die?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one with Tom Hanks.
That's the Tom Hanks
Okay.
one. I
Why
prefer,
is it that
personally, I prefer K9 over Turner and Hooch.
Why does every dog movie have the dog die? I don't understand.
In
Why?
Turner and Hooch it did, and then they had a puppy at the end of it. So this movie is doing that only if it wasn't as sad, and also like if at the end of Turner and Hooch, Turner just heard Hooch howling out the window like it's his ghost and he might be back. I don't know. That would have been weird.
Ambiguous ending.
Yeah, like why
I-
did that just happen?
When Homeward Bound came out, like that ending gets me every time.
Mm,
When it does that music, when Shadow comes out, like they thought he
Sure.
was dead, and it's like do 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 do. Like sorry, sorry.
I know I like that movie.
And then he starts limping, and it's like so sad.
I like that
I
movie
cry
a
every
lot.
time.
I like the last part of K9. That's an underrated movie. I really love K9. I like the last part of K9 where the dog is running at the villain. The villain turns around and shoots and clips the dog in the shoulder. The dog lives, but clips the dog in the shoulder, and then James Belushi just empties the entire clip of his gun into the villain's back as he's running away.
That's awesome.
Like it's actually a pretty badass moment. This movie, man, I mean, if you're going to have like just sort of a bad movie get together, then just watch Monster Trucks. The movie is, I guess, serviceable as a Netflix watch. I'll give it that, because it's not. Show Dogs is worse than this. Dog Days was worse than this. Alpha was a way better movie than
No,
this
Alpha
movie.
was actually like not even just like comparable. Like you can just say like Alpha was actually like one of those best movies of the year kind of thing. Like it was, not best movie, not top 10. I would say like it's
Sure.
top 20 of the year. Like it's a very
Uh,
like a very good looking movie. It's like
No,
it's
it
like
is.
National Geographic on screen basically.
It's the Revenant with the dog. Like that
wolf.
was a really good movie. Like it's so much better than any advertisements let on. This movie, I'll say that this movie is maybe
This summer,
slightly a
watch
little,
it.
yeah. This movie is maybe slightly better than the trailers made it look, but it's still not that good. Like it just sort of is what it is, honestly.
Yeah, like the trailers, like if you know what you're getting into, like it is surprising, like with its the music. It's surprising. Like I was kind of like, oh wow, this is kind of like this 80s, like kind of Stranger Things music to it.
Right.
I think the only one of the big downsides is the acting,
The
and
acting
also
killed it for me.
there's nothing going on in the movie. It's pretty uneventful. That's about it. Like that's like really the big, and those are big downsides.
Sure.
So, but besides that, I like the dog. So
No, the dog was
and
likable
that's what you're
enough.
kind of watching it for.
Yeah, the acting really more or less just sort of killed this movie for me. But anyway, we'll actually be back here at maybe around midnight, actually. Okay, right on. I mean, the title comes into play sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll actually, for like a surprise spur of the moment midnight screenings, we'll be back at about roughly around midnight. So come check back with us then. And until then, thanks a bunch, everyone in the chat, for watching.
Sorry. I said normally I wouldn't stay up for a movie, but this one I'm kind of looking forward to.
Sure, yeah. All right,
Because I've
everyone.
seen it before, but
Right,
yeah.
okay. See ya.
Bye.
Anything else?
sorry.
It's okay.
Stop.